Man, that music gets me going. Thank you for tuning in. You're listening to Prepper Talk Radio here on AM 1640 K-Talk. This is the life that we live. It's called preparedness.
That's right. It is the life we live.
And it's easy.
And it's not a soap opera.
And it's not scary. And it just makes sense. So I am Scott, and this is Shane. We're in the house every Friday from 2 to 3 until the end of the year, and then we go to 2 to 4.
Yes. It's a good way to end the week.
Which will be fun and exciting and new. So we have a fun show today. It's a little different than usual. We're going to be running the gambit all the way from one end to the other end and bouncing away from a lot of the topics.
You know I'm good at bouncing around.
So it's well, let me just jump into it. So it's the holiday season. We just had the candy fairies, I guess.
Yeah.
Trouncing around town, and all the kids went home with sugar highs.
Candy fairies.
And now we've got the turkey comatose holiday coming up, followed by the next, big, I guess, well, there are a couple big ones. Well, we've got Hanukkah coming up, and we've also got Christmas coming up, and there's a lot of opportunities for gifts around these times.
Exactly.
So today we're going to kind of go the gift route.
Cool.
We're putting
I've started doing some Christmas shopping.
There you go.
I try and go a little earlier every year. It just never happens. But this year, started to make some progress. So
I haven't even started. I'm like, oh, yeah.
Well, you don't have as many people to buy for either.
Well, there's the in-laws and the outlaws and everything in between. So
yeah, just
I gotta.
The teenagers are the harder ones to buy for.
True. I don't have any of those. So thankfully, not yet. But I will.
But fortunately, I've been indoctrinating them all year long about, okay, what do you want for, what do you want? Not necessarily for Christmas, right? But and of course, you know where I'm going with this, right?
What do you want preparedness-wise?
Exactly.
For everybody to carry?
It's my mindset. It's what I telegraph to them as well. Some of my younger kids, they want the newest DS, they want the newest electronics and whatever. But and of course, all my answer all year long is nope, sorry, I'm not doing that. So we do that every couple of years. New electronics, new game. I want to say Game Boys, but new Wii or whatever it might be. But this year, we are going to focus even more on preparedness. And so that's kind of our message this morning is, what are your plans for Christmas? Do you have all your food storage that you can justify going out and this is me preaching, right? Sounds preachy, right?
This is the Shane doctrine.
Exactly. Are you prepared enough to where you feel comfortable to where you could spend a couple $100 on something completely unnecessary and distracting? Well,
and I'm not too far off from that. I mean, there's a time and a place for everything, right? And the time to prepare was yesterday, and the place to do it was in your own home, right? That was the time and the place. Now today, if we haven't already done that yesterday, we should be working towards that today.
Yes, amen.
If you don't have your supply of food storage, you shouldn't be going on this all-inclusive family vacation that's going to cost you $12,000, right? It just doesn't make sense.
Or even a couple of grand.
Even $900. Yep. There's better things you can do that cost less. You can be more affordable in life and still get better prepared.
Yeah, and like kind of we talked about, I think it was last week, where we talked about, this paradigm shift. It's the things that are unnecessary look even more and more unnecessary and more ridiculous as you change this paradigm shift into becoming more prepared. And once you reach a certain level of preparedness, then, my mind, it relaxes a little bit. It steps back. It says, okay, yeah, we can... Now I feel more comfortable. We've got our year's worth of food supply, and or whatever bills are paid for.
Yeah.
We've got the new roof. Those types of things, but those necessities and the word need is really what I want to try and emphasize today. Is the need. What do we really need, and what are we putting our priorities? What are our priorities?
See, I look at it like this too.
Okay.
Like I've got all the staple requirements I've met.
Okay.
As far as preparedness, in my checklist, right? They're all I've met all the staple requirements.
That's true. Those can be pretty basic.
Now I'm adding to and taking away as I evolve and as I change my mind on things, or if I'm like, ooh, that looks like really tasty food, I'm going to buy some of that, see if it's good. If it's good, I'll buy some more of that. But I also rotate my food storage, and I think everyone should be doing that. Even your freeze dried, if you're not rotating it, I mean, it's not going to last you the 20-25 years it says on the box, anyways, because of one major reason: you're not storing it in the perfect atmosphere that it requires for it to have that lifespan. If you are, you're one of probably 3% in the preparedness world that's really doing well in that part. Most of us, heat exchange systems are great, but they don't keep our cooling area as cool as it needs to be for these foods to really last that long. So I think you should be using it just because that way it keeps your body used to it. And then as your tastes evolve, you can get different things. But I also, when I start thinking about Christmas, I start thinking about all the gifts I want, which is very few. But they're usually more of fun and preparedness.
Yeah, I think part of that paradigm shift is your wants change too.
Well, I'm now looking at things that I'm like, ooh, I really want that. And that applies to preparedness this way. I'm like, now if I tell my wife that this is what I want because of preparedness, it's 10 times more likely to get it.
Right.
Now if it's just some random toy, like I want the new little NES 600 game controller box system, that'd be fun.
Exactly.
But it's a preparedness entertainment device that'll work after the grid goes down and everything else is gone. I'll still have that because it'll be in a Faraday bag until then.
Okay.
I'll have a TV that's backed up. I'll have all this other stuff backed up and a power supply ready to go.
Now, see,
so that after the crap goes down, everyone's going to want to come to Scott's house and play video games.
There you go. That's how you justify it, right?
And now I'm charging them pouches of food to play video games on my computer and my TV. That's
for a little bit of normalcy, right?
That's the lie I tell myself to get into why I want to get that.
I'm glad you pointed that out. The lie that you tell yourself.
But everyone tells themselves lies to different degrees,
and not just for preparedness, and not just for every stage of life, every area of life. Oh, I really want that car. How can I justify that car? Right?
Easy.
Yeah.
There's always an easy way. So today I want you guys to focus on justifying why you need to be better prepared. We're going to talk about a little bit of first aid in the second block, and we're going to talk with our author Boyd Craven in the third block about his journey into preparedness.
Boyd Craven.
He's a fun guy. Those of you who may know of him probably met him through PrepperCon last year. He'll be coming back next year. He's newer to prepping as far as an author goes, but he's been doing these sci-fi romance novels that he kind of did on a drunk dare. So he's a really cool story. We'll wait until he's on to talk about that. The next segment, we're going to talk about a canine first aid kit that's pretty dang awesome with our buddy Jeff over at TNT. But this block, we're going to finish it off talking about a little bit of the things you need to be doing, thinking about, preparedness-wise for Christmas. Now, I saw you did a post the other day of your everyday carry tin.
Yeah, I got it right here.
And I wanted to ask you about it because I'm working on my own version, and so it was very interesting to see that you've got yours going too. Now I see it's watertight.
Yeah, I wanted to show this to you before the show, but we were jabbing about other things. And we did a Facebook post, and I'm going to do a blog post and talk about this and a lot of other of these little first aid, not just first aid, but survival kits, not first aid,
and it's
but
more like a
kit.
This is like the Altoids tin times 4.
Yeah, this is much larger. Yeah, it's like 4 times the size of an Altoids tin. And I'm actually going to go out on my way home and grab some Altoids and see what I can fit in that Altoids tin. Now, this could be something that let me step back a touch. For Christmas, it's always been my goal, my desire to actually make something, right? Something that has my love and my labor and all that in it to give to those I care about, because because it took me so long and so much effort and so forth. And so I think this could definitely qualify if you put it together yourself. So check out the Facebook post about the survival kit tin. So and there's so many different versions. You could type that in on Google and do a search. And I have always, when it comes to my survival kits, they're huge. They're my entire backpack, right?
Well, okay, so that's the difference, though. That's the survival kit, or your bug-out bag, or the inch bag in case of never coming home. There's an acronym and a name for just about everything. But like an EDC tin or an EDC kit, like most Altoid tins I think of, a tinder bundle is in my Altoid tin, right? It's more watertight, so it's a better place to put it. It's easy to open and close.
Right. It's not going to get crushed in a backpack, whatever.
Right.
And a lot of people will be able to do like little fishing kits in there or snares or whatever because it's a nice hard case that protects whatever's in it, and especially put it in a pocket in a bag, it's not going to get crushed as easily. So reusing is also nice to be able to reuse those containers and not just chuck them in the recycling bin, we like to repurpose things. And so this particular tin, we'll post everything up there. This isn't what we wanted to get into, but we can definitely do this another segment.
Well, I wanted to, but I didn't. I wanted to kind of show it off. Like, this is something that you've kind of modified a little bit.
Yeah, I've always struggled with the Altoids tin survival kit because it's so small. Yes, you can put it in a purse or put it in a bag and always have it with you, but what good is it really going to do? I'm personally not going to use snares. I'm probably not going to have a fishing kit for a fishing kit. I've got a little bit of fishing stuff in here. My PrepperCon Ready Man survival card in here with fish hooks and such on it. But I've designed mine more for the urban area where I find myself most of the time. So the things I have in that kit,
which makes sense.
Yeah,
makes perfect sense.
Exactly. So building one for yourself or for someone else is a great exercise for both you and determining, well, am I really going to use this? And some things like snares, it takes some practice. You got to learn how to use these things. So why have them in there if you don't know how to use them?
They're very simple.
It can be.
A YouTube video can pretty much teach you how to use just about any type of snare. But most snares systems can be built out in the wild from scratch.
In many cases.
Right.
But also, getting out there and building a snare is much more difficult to find the right circumstances, the right materials and stuff, than just on a video. You got to get out there and practice it.
More importantly, though, you need to know what animals are growing in what areas.
Yeah,
how to track
that's
those.
True. Absolutely.
So there's a lot of layers of readiness that are involved in having a snare. Right?
You got to know how to dress
fishing.
the animal.
It's a little easier, but you still need to understand the principles of fishing. But I like what you're pointing out. The fact that what you have in there is not necessarily what everyone else is going to have in a standard kit when you buy a kit, right? I bought a Stealth Angel kit.
Yeah,
and I showed that to you. The watertight container.
Yeah, decent case.
Love it. I love it. But all the items in it, meh.
Yeah,
There's like 2 items in there that I'm like, okay, these are worth their time. So I'm actually in the process of, I've pulled out the stuffing. It's got 2 cushions. I've pulled both cushions out.
Yeah, fit more stuff in there.
And I've started putting in stuff that makes sense to me for my type of survival and what my focuses are, so that I've got those. Including, I've got those little, those water flavorants.
Oh, yeah.
Because if I can't have like decent flavored water and it's just all gross, after a while, psychologically, I need that. And so I've put a few of those in there. And I put ones with energy, so the little caffeine in there. I've got
That's a good idea.
tarp. I shouldn't say a tarp. It's a garbage bag. But it works, right? A 55-gallon garbage bag.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Fold it up. I've got, and that's also good for poncho. Yeah. But I mean, I'm putting all my own things in there to make sense for me to simplify, put everything in one small container, so it takes up one section of my backpack for my everyday carry, instead of little parts in every section of my backpack. Yeah.
And the idea is it could be a kit that you can forget about completely, and it doesn't require any maintenance. It's just always there ready for you. Now, we got about a minute and a half left. I think what we really wanted to get in this segment, we're going to take another segment, another show, to talk specifically about some prepping Christmas gifts that we recommend.
We're actually going to do a whole show on that.
Do a whole show on this because we love talking about gear. And so I think what I wanted to try and get across today is just start thinking about how can we use Christmas, use the season, to better prepare ourselves rather than to collect unnecessary stuff.
And I would challenge you, if you haven't tasted your food storage in a long time, why don't you switch Thanksgiving and do all of Thanksgiving?
Good luck with that.
Freeze-dried and canned, and see how well it goes for your family. Because you can make quite a feast. You got to be a little more creative, unless you've got all that stuff. I mean, I've got diced turkey, freeze-dried. I could do it. I've got gravy. I've got all the mashed potatoes I need.
That's true. You could do it too.
I could do it. I think I might.
I'll have to talk to the wife about it. I think she's probably listening right now.
I'm going to talk to the survival wife and see what she says.
She's probably going to text me and say, "No way! Are you kidding me? We're having the turkey."
So, stay tuned with us today. We're going to have some more fun as the day goes on. We're going to talk more and more about the first aid and kind of the journeys into preparedness of our next 2 guests. So, and also, I don't know, just make sure you're spending some time enjoying your preparedness. I don't know. I just feel like I need to say that. A lot of times people are like, "Oh, well, I have to do this," or "Oh, I have to do that." And,
yeah, good point.
Or you put all these lists together and it becomes a little bit daunting. Make it a game. Make it fun. Find a way to make it engaging and get other people involved. So
I think just like anything else, the more you do it, the more enjoyable it becomes, and the more you learn.
Absolutely. And there's our music for the bumper. We'll be back in about 2 minutes with Jeff Midgley of TNT First Aid, talking about canine first aid and what they're doing.
Cool.
Well, for those of you guys that were listening during the break, you may have heard me on the phone call with Jeff, putting him on hold. I know. I'm like, what do you mean? Turn off. Oh, yeah. Whoops. Welcome back to, wow, that was peaking. Welcome back to Prepper Talk Radio. We are radio for the ready-minded here at K-Talk, and we've got our good buddy Jeff on the line. Let me make sure he's there. Jeff, are you there? Can you hear us?
Yeah, I got you loud and clear.
Hey, Jeff.
Awesome,
how you doing, man?
Good. How are you doing?
Good. So tell us where you're at right now, if you can.
I'm on a movie set for the Disney series Andy Mack.
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's
hoping everybody keeps all their fingers today. We had one try to take it off the other day, ran a scale saw across it, but wound seal took care of it. We didn't even send him in for stitches, and it was just hamburger. And a week later, it looks amazing.
So did they? Are you just there when they're building sets, or what's going on?
We're on set when they're filming. We're here when they're building sets. So just
right on.
Very cool.
Whenever there's work,
so you're saying that his finger looks a lot better after a week. What did you do to help his finger get, recover?
I just rinsed it out, and it literally went all the way across the pad, at least half the thickness of his the pad of his finger, and we put wound seal on it, some pressure on it, kept it dry for 2 days, and now he's washing his hands, doing everything. Where had he gone and got stitches, there's no way they would have closed it up as well as the wound seal did.
So you're saying that if you have the right supplies and the right knowledge, and you approach it quickly, take care of it quickly, you may eliminate a doctor visit or ER visit and future nerve damage or whatever you might call it.
I think that's the best point. You're saving money with a little bit of time and a little bit of tools. You can save a lot of money long term going forward. And I think we were talking before the show. Okay, there's these medical cost savings plans where you can have like a savings account. You can use that money to buy these kits too, right?
Oh, absolutely. You can buy any of our products other than over-the-counter pain pills like ibuprofen and Tylenol. Any of our kits, any of our other first aid products you can buy with your HSA or FSA.
Nice.
And for people that have flex spending that are sitting there going, all right, it's almost December, and I lose all this money that I've put in there. I've had families call up and order 5 trauma kits because they just didn't use all their FSA, and they've just turned their FSA into their kids' Christmas presents.
That's smart.
That's a good idea. Yeah, we were just talking about Christmas. That's another great idea for Christmas.
That's why I wanted you on this week.
Yeah.
Really, just so we could talk to you a little bit about your products, but mostly. So, Jeff, for those I don't think we really introduced you. This is Jeff with TNT First Aid. Now you also do the film stuff where you're out there as an EMT with your crew helping make sure people keep their fingers and toes. But your primary thing is the first aid kits and training.
Correct.
Now you guys tell us about the app first of all that everyone needs to download. I've downloaded it. I love it. Works really great.
Yeah. We have an app, costs $2.99. That app is called Virtual Medic. We also have it in a sign language version, which is Virtual Medic ASL, standing for American Sign Language.
Awesome.
The app comes with more than 30 videos on common as well as less common type of injuries, everything from a nosebleed to you want to know if your kid's got a concussion. You can follow along with the video, and if they present with the same symptoms that we talk about in the app, boom, you kind of have your answer. And then all the way up to your more serious injuries, a sucking chest wound that people don't treat right, and then they wonder why their patient died.
Yeah, that one scares me. That one scares me.
Tourniquet, most people think if I had an evisceration and I actually had some organs that were hanging out from my abdomen, that's a fixable injury, not by you, but to get somebody to the hospital in the right way. You cover that with gauze, that's going to kill all of the intestine that's outside the body. It's all going to be dead. Where a simple knowing to use a Vaseline dressing or a non-occlusive dressing on that makes all the difference in the world. So we just want, even for people that have the training, it's a great refresher, especially when you're in that moment and it's a panic and you're trying to remember your Red Cross or American Heart first aid class from 10 years ago. This gives you all that information right at the touch of a finger. You don't have to have service to use it. It works. It downloads all the content to your phone, so it works whether you have service or not.
And it's a very compact file size too, so it really doesn't take up much size on the phone. I think that's the thing that I was most pleased with, that and the fact that it doesn't require Wi-Fi to use or any kind of internet access to use. I've tested out in the wild, and I go camping once a month with the Scouts, and everywhere we've gone, it's been no cell service, and so perfect time to test the systems I've got to make sure everything works. And we'll run the Scouts.
Every kid, every parent, everybody should have on their phone, because you never know. Your kids could run into an encounter or have an emergency come up as they're walking home from school. And if they have that app, it at least gives them a starting point of how to maybe stabilize somebody until help arrives.
I think that's going to be another Christmas gift I'm going to put on my kids' phones.
Good idea.
Yeah.
There you go.
Definitely. Now,
really cheap.
Now, again, you can find that at the Android, Google Play, and you can find that for Apple on the Apple iTunes Store. or App Store, sorry. iTunes is for the music. But it's there. Download it, play with it, learn it, use it, refresh on everything. But the real reason we wanted you on the air today, I mean, yes, we could talk about that app all day because I love it. You guys just launched a first aid kit for canines.
We did. As far as what we've been able to find looking out there on the market, this is the first true canine trauma kit. There's a lot of pet first aid kits out there that you can buy, at Kirkham's and REI and off the internet, but they're not a true trauma kit because they don't have the components of a true trauma kit. So we met with.
I was going to say, I like that it's a trauma kit and not just a first aid kit, because when it comes down to life-saving needs, whether it's a person or for a canine, that those contents, like you say, like the tourniquet and those particular bandages for trauma injuries where someone can bleed to death really quickly, that's what you need to address immediately.
Exactly. If when we think first aid, first thing that pops in my head, and I think most people's head, is gauze and bandages. We've all seen the $9.99 first aid kit that has 200 pieces of gauze in it and a pair of plastic scissors, and that's it.
Yep.
So that's what people think of as first aid. This is a trauma kit. We haven't found one on the market that has what this has in it. We met with a veterinarian that takes care of the West Jordan City Police Department's dogs, and he wanted those officers to have, they're the first department that's purchased these from us, he wanted those officers to have stuff that could actually stabilize their dog with and save a life. Those dogs are extremely expensive. You're talking $150,000, and they get all the same treatment an officer gets. So why not have their own IFAC? So we created this, and it's called the Canine FAC instead of individual first aid kit, Canine first aid kit. But it truly is a trauma kit.
I think that's the big differentiator. I mean, oftentimes when we're talking to people, oh yeah, I've got a first aid kit, or even with my scouts, oh, I've got a first aid kit. It all goes back to Band-Aids and gauze pads. And trauma kit is really what we need, because you can get along without a Band-Aid.
Exactly.
You can get along, with splinters. You can get along with a lot of these different little
abrasion
issues,
or cuts or whatever.
But it's the big ones and the major infections and the lacerations, and those are the things you got to worry about. And especially, I mean, if you love your dog, and you take your dog all over the place, like my neighbor across the street, he goes hunting with his dogs every opportunity he gets. He takes them backwoods all the time, and he's got a pack for each dog with food, with advanced first aid kit. Nothing like this, which he'll be excited to hear about.
And there are quite a few breeds out there that have health issues, right? That those owners are aware of, but they probably aren't aware that they can have a first aid or a trauma kit for that dog. That if they have an issue, that the dog can survive instead of maybe having to put it down.
So what is in the kit?
So this kit, it's a nice compact little MOLLE pack, so you can strap it to whatever. It's got in it a hyphen chest seal, which is the North American Rescue's chest seal. So if the dog has any sort of a puncture wound to the chest, they're not breathing well, you can put this chest seal on rather than trying to use any sort of a non-occlusive and tape them 3 sides. This is ready to go. It's also got a razor, so you can prep that area.
I was just going to ask.
We want that chest seal to stick to that area. So quickly prep it, shave it, and it's going to restore the dog's ability to breathe and save you from having a tension pneumothorax, which is blood entering into the lung area, and then both lungs collapse. They start coughing up blood. So chest seals are extremely important. I haven't found another canine kit that's got a chest seal in it.
That's impressive.
We've got a 14-gauge decompression needle. When the vet said he wanted one of those in there, I said, why do you want a decompression needle in this dog kit? Normally we'd use that for a human. They're really long, big needles. And he educated me and told me certain breeds of dogs, mainly your German Shepherds, when they have anxiety, it'll actually cause their bowels to bloat. Their bowels bloat, and then the stomach, or the bowels twist, and then the stomach bloats. And if you don't relieve that pressure, then it puts thoracic or cardiac pressure on the dog's heart, and they die. And that can happen in minutes.
Yeah, and there are other breeds that have that issue as well, yeah.
Yeah, so from bloating. So we have a 14-gauge decompression needle in there.
Wow.
We've got some nitrile gloves. We have a RATS tourniquet, a rapid application tourniquet system, created by Jeff Kirkham. It's the only tourniquet that's going to fit onto a dog's small leg. So we follow the same steps we'd follow on the human, just a on a dog.
And if I remember right, you guys had this tested to make sure it worked and that it would actually take care of the needs of the dog, right?
What's that?
And when we talked about this earlier, you talked about the testing for that to make sure it actually worked. Because a lot of the other systems don't work, or you don't get the cutoff that you need, so the dog will still bleed out. But and we know Jeff over at Survival Survival Ready Man. He creates all these survival cards. He created rats. I mean, he's a former Green Beret special ops kind of guy who he needs the stuff that works exactly how it says it's going to work, and as quickly and as effectively as possible. And so it's fun to see him invent this.
And of course, you can get these same tourniquets for yourself as well as for your dog.
Which you should.
I love things that we could use. I mean, the handler could use anything in this kit as well.
Okay.
As the dog, so it really makes it universal. Now we want it dedicated to the animal. That was what the whole concept of IFAC was that the military came out with. Was everybody's got their own kit. You don't use your stuff on someone else. You use their stuff on them in case you need it for you. But all of these items in here would work just as well on a person. So.
Oh, that's cool.
Now, I guess we can go to your website and just get these there, correct?
Yeah. You can go to our website. You want to go over the list of everything else in there?
Yeah,
let's keep going. You bet.
Finish the list.
We've got a 30 milliliter wound flush to clean and irrigate wounds out. It includes a Mylar survival blanket, treat for shock, wrap that dog in a nice warm foil blanket. Has a pair of tweezers with a magnifying glass attached. And then it's got a 1-inch Rollico band for bandaging, a 3-inch ace wrap, the razor like we talked about. Comes with a triangle bandage. And again, I asked the vet, I says, why would we put a triangle bandage? Because I think of sling and swath, which I'm not going to sling and swath a dog's leg.
No.
He says, no, it's a makeshift muzzle. Dogs have a tendency to bite somebody caring for them, so you can use the triangular bandage to muzzle the dog. We have a 30 milliliter hydrogen peroxide in there, which will help induce vomiting. So the dog's gotten into something that's going to be poison, put a little hydrogen peroxide in their water, throw the ball for them a couple times, they'll puke it all up, and you save about a $900 vet visit.
Wow.
Triple antibiotic ointment, some 3x3 gauze pads, a 5x9 dressing, and comes with a rectal thermometer as well.
And what's the price point on this whole thing?
So this we've got on sale right now. It's normally $169. We've got on sale for $145 right now till Christmas.
That's awesome.
Save you use that, and it'll save you the cost of a trip to the vet. I mean, easy right there.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, more than that, because it's multiple trips that you're saving.
Yeah, no, that's true.
And I think that's what we, as preppers, people are like, oh man, why are you getting all this stuff? That's expensive. It's like, okay, I can spend $160 or $145 right now on sale, and I can save $900 on this visit, or $700 on that visit, or $250 on that visit. And I think that's the point that I want to come back to is everything we do as preparedness or preppers is to be a step ahead of a situation that could be life-threatening, or to be cost-effective. I mean, buying food storage last year saves money for next year because food prices always go up.
Yep.
I mean, that's the beautiful thing about it. And first aid kits, those prices always go up. I mean, supply and demand, everything is going to continually increase in cost. So it's always ideal to get those things now. And now that you've got a canine trauma kit that actually fits the bill, I think that's the beautiful thing is anyone that's got a service dog should have this. Anyone that's got a pet and you go do anything fun, you should have this. I mean,
absolutely.
Especially if you're away from town, it's going to save you tons of money, but most importantly, it's going to save your pet.
Yeah. Right. Those of you who take your dog hiking or camping or whatever and you're away, absolutely. It makes perfect sense for me.
And even in town, I mean, you never know how quickly you can get help and how expensive it's going to be when you could avoid that with a good kit.
Now we got about a minute left. Jeff, why don't you tell us what else you sell on your site? What are the kits? I know you've got these large trauma kits or large family first aid kits and such.
And give us the web address.
We've got a regular trauma kit. We've got our Trauma Deluxe that the CIA has just started to buy from us. You can buy all those with your flex spending, help savings. We've got boat kits. We've got fanny packs. We try to have everything. And then you can buy all of our items individually. And our website is www.tnt, like the dynamite, firstaid.com.
I think one more thing I wanted to...
First aid, one word.
Okay, perfect. TNTfirstaid.com. Another thing I wanted to bring up is you do training, not just training for professional groups like firefighters and police officers and such, but you do also for family groups, church groups and such.
Yeah, we'll come out. We have everything from a 1.5 to 2 hour training. We'll come out to your home and do that for you and your kids or your family, church groups. We also have a 16-hour disaster medicine course that teaches people more heavy medical than what even EMTs get to learn coming out of school.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic. I think all of those who have wards who are in charge of your emergency preparedness, definitely give them a call, send them an email, and ask them about how this works, because I think it's a fantastic resource that you can take advantage of.
And most of those we do for free. Most of those small trainings are free trainings because we know we're going to sell product. Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us, Jeff. We're running out of time here for this segment, so everybody check out tntfirstaid.com. Jeff, thanks for being with us, and have fun on set the rest of the week.
Scott and Shane, thank you very much.
You bet. Thank you.
Now, we'll be right back with another good buddy, good guest, Boyd Craven.
Boyd Craven.
Well, welcome back to Prepper Talk Radio. This is our third and final segment for the day. This is Scott and Shane chiming in, and remember to join us every Friday from 2 until 3 p.m. here on AM 1640, as well as on Spreaker and iHeart apps. You can listen to our past shows. We've podcasted these things, so they're easy to access, easy to listen to. And a lot of our fans or our audience. Audience. You guys aren't our fans. You're our audience. We work for you. A lot of our audience has told us that they really enjoy having those available there as podcasts so they can listen to them Saturday while they're working on other projects, oftentimes working on their preps. So that is actually why we did it, and that's why we do the show, is to bring resources to you to help you out. So
and don't forget to like our Facebook page and interact with us there. And
easy to find, Prepper Talk Radio.
We post more information there. Our website as well, our blog there on preppertalkradio.com. Just come talk with us. We love it.
Awesome. Well, our next guest, let's bring him on the line. Our next guest is Boyd Craven. Boyd, are you there?
I am.
Awesome. Now, Boyd is quite the author. You've been all over you kind of run the gambit on different types of topics, and I kind of want to get, just so our listeners who haven't heard of you or haven't met you at PrepperCon, give them an idea. How did you get into preparedness writing, and what were you doing before that?
How I got into the writing, I've always been an author. I mean, I've always been a writer, but with publishing, I used to publish under pen names, and I thought, I really want to work on something I really enjoy, and part of it was dealing with prepping in a post-apocalyptic situation, and sales really took off, so I've been writing under the prepping name now since 2015, 2014.
Nice. Now, your first book was the One Man's Opus, is that right? In prepping?
That was one of my more recent releases.
Oh.
My first one was The World Burns.
Okay.
But, yeah.
So, but before you did prepping, you did something different. If I remember right, it was sci-fi, fantasy, romance novels or something.
And romance, yep.
Now, was that all one book, or were those different book genres?
Oh, those are different genres.
Okay.
Not all.
I thought they were all one for a minute. I was like, wait a minute. How do you write a sci-fi, fantasy, romance novel?
No.
It was like, on the planet Zaxabars. I don't know. I'm not a writer, so I shouldn't even talk. Well, thank you.
Before I was writing, I used to work on an urban farm in downtown Flint with a friend of mine.
Okay.
So writing for me was something I did when I was warming up or before I had to go in. So I had a lot of pen names back then, and until I really started putting prepping and post-apocalyptic to paper, it was, more of a hobby that paid decent. And now my hobby gets to be my full-time job.
That's awesome. Well, we've got a copy of your book, One Man's Opus, here in studio for one of our callers. As we get towards the end of the show, we'll actually ask for callers to call in, and someone's going to get a copy of this. So let's kind of jump on your preparedness. You lived on a homestead and kind of helped out there. What really took it from that to being a prepper? I mean, were you a prepper before, or is this kind of what opened the door?
Well,
or how did that happen?
I kind of make the joke like putting back for hard times is, my grandparents' generation and their grandparents' generation were preppers, but didn't have a fancy name for it.
Well, being a writer, you kind of have to be a prepper yourself because it's like feast or famine, right?
Exactly.
That's true. If your book bombs, so do you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, everything from food prep to, I live in Michigan, and you guys are where it's cold too, but, if you break down somewhere, do you have warm enough clothes for you and your family? Do you have an extra blanket? do you have enough to keep you around until someone can tow you out or you can get to safety? So it's always kind of been something I've thought about. I mean, I was in the Scouts when I was a kid, and, the Boy Scout motto always sticks with me.
Yeah, be prepared.
I believe that the best way to teach is not necessarily in a manual or a school book, or something like that. It's more in a not sci-fi, but just a non something that didn't actually happen. It's made up. It's created yourself. You created this situation. You're being able to teach in a situation you created yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's not a real world situation, but because we don't always have that.
It's a simulation, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's by reading we learn, and then we can apply those ourselves. So I think that's the reason I'm trying to write as well. I think we all kind of aspire to be somewhat of authors. I mean, I'm a bit of a blogger, and so I like to think that I would be able to write something like this as well and be able to teach these different principles. So I imagine that's kind of your reason that where you write some of these books is to teach.
It is. And if you have the electronic copy of the book also, I actually put links in there on some of the stuff I'm talking about.
Okay,
or
cool.
Yeah,
I'll mention something one of my characters sees on YouTube, and you click on it, and it'll take you right to the YouTube channel. So, I'm trying to make something that's a little entertaining, something that'll maybe teach someone a new trick or make them think about how to use an everyday piece of gear a little bit differently if you really needed to.
What's interesting is not all post-apocalyptic authors do that. They'll say, oh, well, we did this in the book. Oh, he did that. Mm-hmm. But they don't explain how they did it or what they're doing. And it's interesting because you do this very well. Another author that does it very well is Angry American. But I've never seen anybody put links. I've got the electronic copy. I've never seen anybody put links in until you did. And I was like, man, this just took this fun book to read and also made it a educational learning experience. So I can actually see what these, I don't have to imagine it or try to make it up. I can see what these characters are doing. I can see how they're applying these principles or how they're applying that skill and understand how to do it correctly instead of just guessing at it.
Right, so it's a fictional story, but it's truth. You're teaching truth. You're teaching true principles in that fictional story.
Yeah, and in a lot of cases I'll give people direct links, like if they don't have a cannery near them, they can access, I gave them a link to a place in Michigan, for example, that, ships all over the country, and you can buy, organic storage food in bulk, different stuff like that, just to try to help out a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, tell me, what goes through, you've written like 20 books in the past 2 years. What goes through your head to come up with all these different ideas? I mean, I can't possibly fathom coming up with that many ideas. I mean, there must be something going on in your head, right?
Well, yeah, I always tease people that I'm never going to run out of ideas because, the voices won't quit talking to me. But, writing the stories out is better than kidnapping people and making them act out the ideas. So
that's awesome. Yeah,
I like to tease them. The kooky writer thing seems to work.
Well, I follow you on social media, so I see a lot of the kooky writer comments, and you make me laugh almost daily. But you also make me think. I mean, you do a lot of political questions as well.
Yeah.
That really, and I think that's where the dialogue is being lost in America right now. Is people won't ask questions for serious dialogue as often because they're afraid it's going to turn into a bashing session.
Well, yeah, it's difficult to come up with a response that communicates exactly how you feel, regardless if you're right or you're wrong, or you're left or you're right.
Well, I don't.
Yeah,
and I think
what I tell
looking
people
for
on those
arguments.
is that I'm not scared of being wrong. If I'm wrong, just explain to me, and if I'm wrong, I'll apologize and say I'm wrong, and I learned something new.
Yes, absolutely.
And it gives everyone an opportunity to maybe learn, if nothing else, a little empathy to see where the other guy's coming from.
Yeah, defending your position's not always easy.
Well, it's funny because we've got a mutual friend, Suzanne Sherman, who was also at PrepperCon, and she's been on the air with us a few times. She's probably the most argumentative person I know. But she's turned her opinions based on her research. She's like, oh, wow, okay, I need to change this. And it's it's enlightening to be able to hang out with people like you, people like her, people like Shane, who have opinions and who are always constantly studying and always trying to improve upon and find solutions. And that actually comes out in your writing. I mean, so One Man's Opus, I'm almost a fourth of the way into it. You know, he's got the van. Now, Opus is the dog.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking an opus was like some type of journey before I even open the pages. I'm like, what is this going to be? What is his opus? And because isn't there like Mr. Holland's opus or something?
Right.
It's like his
life's work or
life's
something.
work
yeah.
is his
journey.
Yeah.
And in this case,
it's
it's
both.
And I'll
it's
go
the
ahead
dog
and
and the
right
story.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah, the dog was actually my dog.
So it is a true story. No.
I'd say about half of that is real and half of that's fiction.
Oh, okay.
So I mean, like, you know, I talk about the motorhome. I talk about the van. I actually drive the van. The motorhome's real.
Yeah.
That's what I was wondering. I'm like,
Yep.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so you bought it and had to fix it up and do everything.
Oh yeah.
Oh wow.
And I had to learn the systems from the ground up.
I think that's the best way to learn anything is
yeah.
to dive into it. So this is a great example of that journey and of the acquisition of knowledge.
Well, I think the key to, or the reason why reading is good, because we can't always find ourselves or put ourselves in a situation where we learn something specific, right? So we have to read about it. We have to do that research. And it seems like in this story form, for me, it is more easily absorbed. I understand it better. It's applied in a particular way, and I understand it. And it becomes more of a part of me, rather than something that I'm compelled to learn and research.
So now, I mean, that you're on. What book now are you on? As far as which book are you in a series that you're writing, or what are you focusing on right now?
So I write a lot of different stuff. I just released the sequel to that called The Opus Odyssey. The same group of characters from the first book and some new ones.
Oh, good.
And it kind of chronicles my journey, because, again, this is half fiction, half real life. My drive from Michigan to Utah, and then from Utah to Moab through the Arches, where I spent some time, and then, you know, from there I went down towards Arizona, New Mexico, Texas.
Sounds like a fun trip.
Yeah,
but,
you were checking in all over the nation on that trip. That was kind of funny to watch. I mean, you're all of a sudden Moab, and I'm like, oh, okay, I didn't know he was going to Moab. All of a sudden Texas. I'm like, wait, what? Yeah, you were pretty much everywhere. But the nice thing is you were pretty much self-sufficient the entire trip. I mean, you took everything you needed for the most part with you everywhere you went. Yeah,
I drove my little car, and I put the hatch down in the back. I folded the seat down. I had a month's worth of storage food. I had 6 gallons of water, a couple different kinds of tents.
That's
I had
awesome.
a whole bunch of battle box gear I wanted to try out. You know, there's a few places where I wanted to camp, but the wind was blowing literally so bad, it was shaking my car.
Oh, wow. Well, we're gonna give away this book. I don't know if we should give it over the air or if we should do it on our Facebook page. Let's do it on our Facebook page.
Yeah, let's do it on Facebook.
I think the first person to post on our social media page on Facebook saying "Give me the book" or hashtag "Give me the book."
There we go. I like that.
We're gonna get this out to you. So go to facebook.com/Prepper Talk Radio, and then put a comment on our page hashtag "Give me the book," and we're going to send you a copy. One Man's Opus. It's paperback from Boyd Craven.
You'll have to come into the well, I guess if you're outside Utah, we'll send it to you.
If it's outside of Utah, we'll ship it to you. If you're inside of Utah, just come to the studio and we'll have you pick it up. But it's so far it's a good read. And it's funny because it does kind of read. I'm trying to give you an example. It reads like, oh man, Angry American has similar style of writing in the first person, third person kind of context, right? Where it almost feels like it's you. Mm-hmm. You become the main character.
Yeah, that's the kind of books I love the most, is where you're right in the story.
And it's very conversation heavy, so you actually feel like you're having these conversations with the other characters and interacting with Opus. And I just noticed on the back of it actually says, one dog who's been the savior, protector, and companion, Opus, the owner of 2 humans that mostly understand him.
Yep.
And I was like, yeah, really, it's true. He does own them. And And
only dog people will understand that.
Yep.
part.
No, that's absolutely true.
yeah, I don't have dogs now, but I've had them in the past as a kid, and they do own you. I mean, that's kind of how the relationship is. But then you're kind of like their kid, you're their baby.
So
they take care
spoil
of you.
the end for me. Does Opus die?
No.
Okay.
Good. Good.
Whew.
I don't need another old yeller.
Exactly.
In real life,
or Air Bud.
in real life, he did. That's what.
Well, that's
why
they
I
all
wrote
they
the
all
book.
do.
Well, hey, we're out of time. Boyd, thank you for being on with us. People can check out your books where?
At boydcraven.com, or you can find me on Amazon and paperbacks, pretty much anywhere.
Awesome. Hey, thanks so much for joining us. We're out of time. Listeners, tune in next Friday from 2 o'clock till 3 o'clock. We'll be right back here at K-Talk AM 1640.